Hello, everybody. Today I'm coming to you from the same corner of my apartment that I filmed in 2 videos ago. Picture this. You are having a really great time in life. Everything is going your way. There are really no major bumps or bruises along this road, along your path. And you're thinking, I'm untouchable. Life is so great. And there is nothing that could bring me down until it does, until you get brought down and actually reality hits you in the face and you are faced with so much adversity. Picture that. Picture that. You may be thinking, "Oh, I was just so successful. How do I get back to that level of success? I'm never going to be able to reach that again. I'm doomed to fail forever." Well, I will have you know that success is not a linear course. Success isn't a linear course. It is constantly the ups and the downs. And there is never really any indication that your life is about to take a turn for the worse. Well, actually, there may be indications, but a lot of the time it blindsides you and you're not quite sure how to be prepared for that. And it gets a lot of people down, and it certainly gets me down sometimes when my life takes a turn for the worse, which obviously has never happened. But if it did, I would probably be like sad. So it's a pretty common experience to flop. I think everybody has flopped at least once in their life. You have definitely flopped before. But here I wrote, and I quote, "It's what we do with the flop that matters." And that is so true. We can be handed a certain deck of cards in life. Everybody is handed differing decks, and everybody has their own set of problems that they need to learn how to overcome. But it's how you really go about solving those problems and finding your version of success that matters. Obviously, personal success looks different person to person. My personal success is being maybe like a cat, like a domesticated cat in a rich family's house. But everybody's version of success looks different, obviously. I think a very important thing to do when a flop occurs in your life is to remain hopeful and trust that you are strong enough to overcome anything. And I know this may be really difficult during times when the flop is really, really significant. Maybe you lost a job, a family member died, you lost an arm, something like really major happens that gets you super like just down. It can be really difficult to remain hopeful and have a positive attitude when these things occur. Just like depression is calling my name like a siren at sea, and I am just a little a sailor that might get tempted by that siren, but you're not going to get tempted. This is how you're going to not get tempted by those sirens at sea and remain strong in the face of struggle and remain steadfast in moments of crisis such as this one. First, it's really beneficial to focus on your self-worth and confidence. Just focusing on building that inherent sense of self-assuredness about both yourself and your situation, that it will work out and that you will come out on the other side, I think is really important, because in these situations you definitely can reach out to friends and family, but a lot of the time it's really only you that can get yourself out of the situation. Setting yourself up for success and nourishing all aspects of yourself, setting up a great environment for yourself to thrive in is really important. I know it can be difficult if you live in situations that aren't super thrive centric, but just kind of working on setting yourself up to accept that success when it comes to you is really important. You don't want your success to come up knocking on the door and you're opening the door looking so raggedy and you're like, "I'm not ready. Sorry. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't doing anything to set myself up for success. Guess you have to come back later, Mr. Pizza Delivery success man." I think it's really helpful to kind of picture yourself already successful. Some call this delusion, some call this manifestation. Just really putting yourself in that spot of, I am successful and I am overcoming all of these things. And for me personally, whenever I do that, it works for maybe 2 minutes, but I think it's like the continual reinforcement in your brain. You could be so down in the dumps, but if you know that you are inherently powerful and confident and self-assured and successful, then nobody really can take that away from you if you believe it enough. And soon enough, if you take the steps, then that will be your reality, I think. It's also good to remember that life naturally has highs and lows. Like, that is just the way that it goes. Wow, I'm a rhyming legend. But there are periods where everything is going right and you feel like you're in just such a great place and nothing could really mess with your happiness or your success. And there are times where you're just a grimy little rat and you're in the trenches, nothing's going right, and that's fine. Like, it is a roller coaster. Life is a highway. You could also just view everything as a high and remain delusional throughout all of it, which I think is probably the best thing to do, because a lot of people, they view everything as the low. This might be controversial, but I think when you view everything as working against you or as a low in your life, you're inviting even more negativity in, and you are blocking off a lot of success. So, having that good attitude and that good mindset helps a lot, I think, because I don't know, it's just the way that you navigate the world. Next, this is probably my most important point on the list. Do not, I have to get this right. Do not allow your identity to be centered on a temporary flop. When you're working towards your goals, whether this is mental, educational, career, physical, whatever, um, there are definitely going to be points where you're not working as diligently towards your goals, and you encounter some roadblocks or moments of possibly failure, possibly flops. You let down your guard, you fail at your goal, you're not doing what you should be doing to ensure your maximum success. And this leaves you feeling down. Obviously, you're feeling a little bit sad. You might feel that your goals have become less legitimate or reachable if you flop a little bit. But I think the most important thing is to just pick yourself up and keep going. Acknowledge that the flop happened. You can be like, okay, yeah, I failed at working towards my goal. But then you just have to like keep moving. Success doesn't happen overnight, but your goals also don't have to be torn down in one night. It is so easy to identify with negative traits because our brain has a negative confirmation bias, which is basically like our brain is scientifically geared and wired towards believing the worst things about others, ourselves, our situations. Most of the time, our brains are wired to believe the worst. And whenever we fail at our goals, it's so easy for us to think, oh, I'm a failure. I'm lazy. I am a flop. I will never achieve any of my goals or any of my success. I feel bad for myself. It's so easy to think these things. Yes, you could identify with that temporary flop and say, this is who I am. I am a flop. Or you could say, no, I'm not a flop. I control who I am. But that path has more resistance and is less traveled. Like, people don't really take that path as often because it's more difficult to put work into yourself and say, I'm not a flop. I'm actually a very successful, hardworking person. So, yeah, I just want to highlight how important it is to not make those temporary flops your whole identity. Like, allow yourself to flop and move on. Even if the flop is not temporary, if your flop is like years and years on end and it's just a really, really prolonged flop, that's fine. There's always up. There's always up as an option. And I think that's the beauty of life, is that we're allowed to flop, but we're also allowed to flourish whenever we want. Like, it really is all up to us and it's all in our hands. It's a lot of responsibility to kind of push yourself to where you want to be and be who you want to be. But unfortunately, you're the only one who can do that. And it's really easy to put that onto something else or blame it on someone else. Lastly, I want to say that time heals all. This is in regards to relationships, maybe some beef or drama you have, your flops, basically anything can be healed with time. Time is the great healer. Time is a shaman, a witch, a doctor. It heals you. And if you have a moment of failure or weakness or flopness, if you get back to your goals just like the next day or in the same week, you'll be back to the point you were at in no time, and your flop will have never happened really, like it doesn't exist. And also, one final thing, I think it's so important to be gentle and patient with yourself. There are a lot of not gentle and not patient people in the world, so don't let yourself be one of them, because like why would you not want to have a friend in yourself and a kind person? Because slip ups happen, like they're not the end of the world. We don't have to throw in the towel on our goals just because of a momentary moment of failure. That's all. Oh my god, my mic is dying at this moment, but thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.